I bought what Daiwa claims to be the king of bait casters, but does it really live up to that title? Let's find out. Today we're unboxing and looking at one of Daiwa's most expensive bait casters, the 2024 Steez. I wanted to see if this reel really lived up to its name, so I took it out on the water, tested it with different weights and pushed it to its absolute limit. Stick around because by the end of this video you'll know if this reel is worth the premium price tag or not. Now, do you want to know why I wanted to test this reel? Before we get into the details, here's why I had to try this reel myself. I've been using the 2016 Steez and it's been one of my favorites and go-tos. So when Daiwa announced a newer model, I was skeptical. Had he perfect something that's already that good? One feature that immediately caught my eye was the third generation T-wing system, which Daiwa claims enhances casting distance and smoothness. The magnetic braking system also promises real-time adjustments to prevent backlash even in windy conditions. But does this all actually work? Let's find out. Now let's take this thing out of the box and see what we think of it. Right out of the box, the first thing that really stands out is the compact body. This thing is incredibly light yet feels solid. The finish is sleek and every component looks well built. But what really excites me the most is this, the drag clicker. This was missing in the 2016 model, and for those who love hearing their drag scream, this is an absolute game changer for a bait caster. We're gonna take this Steez onto my local river, rigged onto a rod to see if this reel really lives up to its hype. We're gonna test it out with some lighter weights and also some heavier weights to see what's ideal for this reel and see what it likes to cast best. So follow me and let's go onto the water. Here we are, we've just arrived at the local river with our Steez combo. Steez reel, 24 Steez in the 100 size, and our Steez rod, which is a 1.8 gram cast weight to 14 grams. We're gonna first off cast the kicker curly in the big, which is approximately 12.5 grams, and then we'll throw the lighter one on, which is about 5.5 grams. And I have to apologize for the birds in the background. There's nothing I can really do about it, but let's get out there, have a couple of casts and see how this reel performs on both the heavier bait and the lighter bait. I'm not too sure how it is gonna perform. I've just rigged up this reel with 12-pound P1 Daiwa J-Braid Expedition, and we're gonna go have a few casts, just get it primed up and then test out whether it's more favorable to cast out the bigger baits or the lighter baits with this specific combo. So stay tuned. I don't know if you guys can see the grass in front of me, but the wind is coming directly towards us. But I guess it's gonna really show you guys whether this reel is gonna be ideal to cast into the wind or not without getting some backlash. But what I've done here is I've turned the dial to number 10. I'm not sure exactly what to put it on, but we're gonna start off at 10 and we're gonna work from there. We're starting off with this kicker curly big and we're casting directly into the wind. And so far, we are not getting any backlashes, and it's not looking like it's gonna get any backlashes, and it's smooth as to wind back, which is a really, really good indication of a really good reel. So I might really need to start adjusting this brake tension on the side to really get the best performance out of this weight. So we've just changed this braking system down to 6. We'll give it a go and see if we can get a better cast out into the wind. There we go, that's a heaps better cast. I might back it off a bit more. I'll just give it a couple more casts with that number 6 on the tension spool and see if we can get some better distance the way it is before we change it. But no signs of backlash whatsoever, and we're getting some pretty good distance casting directly into the wind. So what we're gonna do is our next cast, we're gonna probably back off another 2 digits and see if that makes much of a difference without backlashing, that is. All right, so we've currently got it on 6. Let's go to 4. Much further cast, no backlash. Mate, amazing. I am casting head on into the wind and I'm getting no signs of backlash whatsoever, and I'm no pro when it comes to bait casters. I've only owned a couple in my time and I consider myself an amateur when it does come to bait casters, so I'm very impressed so far with this reel. So I've just wound it down to 2. This thing goes all the way down to 0, and let's give it a go. Whirl out a cast and see how far we can get it. Straight into the wind, look at that, unbelievable. Backlash, not even a slight chance of a backlash. I am so impressed with this reel. Mate, I'm casting it further than my spin reels. All right, safe to say that in the wind, head on wind, the 12.5 gram frog casts absolutely fantastic. And this is when the real test begins. We're gonna cut off this frog and we're gonna tie on the much lighter one and see how that performs into the wind. And maybe, just maybe, we might go and walk somewhere and see if we can get away from this wind just to have a bit of a better test. Alright, so that kicker curly small is tied on and it weighs virtually next to nothing. And we've still got that braking system set to 2, so it's going to be very dangerous with a light lure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump it up. I'll bump it up to about maybe 10 and we'll work our way down from there. Just in case, you just never know. Alright. Yeah, 10's getting no distance at all with 10. What's that on the rod tip? Alright. So 10. We're gonna have to go down. We'll go down to 5, halfway, and we'll give that a go. Yep. I'm gonna go down a lot more than that. We're at 5 at the moment. Let's go all the way down to 2 and give that a whirl. Oh, unbelievable. We've got a bit of a bird's nest there, but nothing major. So I'm gonna dial it up a notch. We're getting it out a good distance for a 5-gram lure. We've got it on setting number 3. On setting number 2, I'm getting it a lot further than this, but it is bird's nesting. Try to load up that rod a bit more. That's on setting 3 and it's not too bad. Not bad at all. With the wind, casting directly into the wind, and we're getting distance like that. For a light lure, look, we're not getting as far as the bigger lure, but I think if there's no wind and I back off that drag a bit, we might be able to get a much better cast. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably try that right now. It's gonna be a big risk and I might backlash, but let's try. Look at that, look at that. Absolutely phenomenal. We're getting just as far as that bigger lure using that small lure. So both these lures are casting absolutely fantastic on this setup. And I'm really happy. So it's safe to say that this setup does cater for both big and small lures. Whether you're casting as light as 5 grams or a much heavier lure, I think this reel's gonna be able to do it all. We're pretty much out of the wind. We've got about 40 meters in front of us and we'll give it a couple of casts with the big and then we'll switch over to the small. We're leaving the same settings on the brake dial, which is number 2, and let's see how this performs. Absolutely fantastic. With a bait caster reel, casting almost 40 meters with this frog, 12.5 grams. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm not giving it my all either. Look at that. Alright, here we are with the kicker curly small. Oh, hopefully we get no backlashes, but this is the test. If we can get it at about 2 meters off that wall, it just tells you that it handles both weights phenomenally. Look, that was a pretty good cast, I must say. That's impressive. With the 5.5 gram lure, I'd say we've got it about 2 to 2.5 meters shy of that back wall there, with no backlash and no issues at all. Oh, gotta be happy with that. Yeah, look, you can see the ripples over there where it's landing. That's about 2 meters off the wall, so we're getting about 1/2 meter extra on the bigger lure. But for this to cast out that lighter lure, and it's not a BFS setup, 5.5 grams, spooled up with 12-pound braid and a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader, you got to be impressed with that. So as you saw from the previous clip, surprisingly, it handles the lighter lures very well. I was expecting some backlash, but with the right rod pairing, this actually could be a real good solid finesse option. It's not a BFS reel, but casting down to 5.5 grams, you can't really go wrong with this reel at all. So it's very versatile whether you want to cast those lighter lures or heavier lures. I think I'm going to stick with casting the lighter lures with this reel. It seems to suit my style a bit more. I might cast some top water lures with this and maybe some lighter skirted lures, is that what you call them? Like the spinner baits and the chatter baits and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm going to keep this one for my lighter stuff, and I've got another two reels as well. So I've got the Zillion as well, which is a 26 2016 model. And like I said, I've got the 2016 model Steez as well, which I'm gonna add some decals to the actual reel to make it look really cool. So why does this reel cast so smoothly? It's all in Daiwa's ultimate casting design, which combines mag force with variable inductor. That's the magnetic braking adjust in real time to reduce backlash. The T-wing system, which is the TWS, it reduces friction and allows longer and more accurate casts. The zero adjuster, there's no need to tweak your spool tension, just use the magnetic dial. Magnesium frame, it's ultra light, but built very strong, although it does require some extra care if you're using it in salt water, so make sure you look after it if you are using it in salt water. This real-time braking is a game changer, especially if you've ever had windy conditions mess up your cast, but does it truly justify the price tag? Let's break it down. We'll look at the pros and the cons, but we'll start off with the pros, of course. Let's quickly go over what stands out and where this reel might not be for everyone. All right, the pros. It's got ultra smooth and controlled casting performance, the simple magnetic braking system, which means there's no endless adjustments, the lightweight yet strong magnesium frame, which fits in your hand so nice. The T-wing system, it enhances the line flow and reduces backlash. Now let's look at the cons. The $899 price tag, is it really worth it? It takes a bit of learning to use this bait caster, especially if you've never used the bait caster before. And it's not ideal for salt water without the extra maintenance, of course, but you can still use it in salt water. What do you think? Would you spend this much on this bait caster? Let me know down in the comments below. So the final verdict and the moment you've all been waiting for is the 2024 Daiwa Steez SV TW worth it? Well, if you're looking for the smoothest, most effortless casting experience in a bait caster, this reel delivers. It's packed with innovative features and the performance justifies a lot of the hype. But if you already own one of the previous models, say the last couple previous models, and you're expecting a huge upgrade, the improvements are more subtle than groundbreaking. If you don't need the magnetic braking or the upgraded T-wing system or the drag clicker, you might just be happy with sticking with what you've got or waiting for the next one. But don't go anywhere yet, because if you enjoyed the review on the 2024 Steez, I'm giving a full breakdown on one of Daiwa's latest mid-range spinning reels, the Daiwa Revelry. You don't want to miss this one. I'll see you all there.